Alright, welcome back everyone, and welcome into all our new listeners as well. It is time for another edition of In Between Days, where we chat chowder about everything that has happened this past week in the fictional town of Salem on everyone's favorite soap, Days of Our Lives. This week we're going to jump into things day by day. Sometimes we like to just do a collective discussion where we talk a little bit of Ben and Ciara and a little bit of Patch and Kayla over here and a little bit of Jack and Gwen and Xander over there. But today we're going to go day by day of what happened this week, and as Stefano would say, let the games begin. We're going to jump right in. So on Monday, Ben and Ciara continued their reunion together. All the fans were quite happy about that. Marla Gibb, who is playing Olivia for a short stint on Days of Our Lives, it was revealed online through some sources that she has actually watched Days of Our Lives for a long time, and she was amongst the fans who were upset when Ben and Ciara were written apart. Of course, that had to kind of be done for a little bit because of Victoria, who plays Ciara, taking a hiatus from the show. She is back now, obviously, and Ben and Ciara are reunited. Theo, of course, is very let down by that, but Marla Gibbs was very happy about it. Apparently, she was one of those fans who was saying, if they don't get Ben and Ciara back together, I'm going to stop watching altogether, and you know how it gets out there. But everything is good in the world of sin, in the world of Ciara and Ben. Not so good for Theo. He's quite let down, but even Theo himself had to admit that a part of him saw it coming, and of course, if Ciara was to get her memories back, that Ben and Ciara would end up together. And of course, just like fate had it written, Ben and Ciara are back together, just like Bo and Hope in the days would always find their way back together and had that telepathic connection. So everything is all wrapped up and good. Ben and Ciara reunite, and later in the week we get to the next chapter of that, but I won't get ahead of myself. We are going to talk next about Paulina, who gets a visit from her mom. I said, of course, at the beginning of this video that her mother is being played by Marla Gibb, and of course Jack Harry and Marla Gibb shared some time together on the television show 227, but on Days of Our Lives they are mother and daughter. So on 227 they were cast members together, and of course this reunion reveals that Paulina is in fact Lonnie's real mother, so that explains a lot. Lonnie is the real mother, which also means Abe is not the real father. For a second there, I felt like I was Jerry Springer. You are not the father, but yeah, or was that Maury Povich? I'm not sure which, but Paulina is Lonnie's real mother, which means Abe is not the father. Now, if you remember, Paulina was discussing with Abe that she had this abusive partner in the past, and that would be my guess as to who Paulina's real father was and why there was this family secret kept. But it seems that it's obviously going to come out, that secret. That's what it seemed like on Monday. And also on Monday, Xander's feelings for Gwen that he seems to have, and his loyalty to Jack as a friend, make him decide to cover up for Gwen at the last minute about working with Dr. Snyder, and he's basically claiming to Jack that he's the one that was working with Dr. Snyder in regards to the stealing of pills from the hospital and distributing them, drug dealing them to illegally to whoever they're going to. And you'd think that maybe Xander would have been able to escape with his newfound millions that he got from Sammi for exposing Nicole and her cheating on Eric. Sammi gave him a lot of money for that, so I thought maybe he was going to be able to get out of Salem for a while. But instead, he is, because he confessed for something he didn't actually do to protect Gwen. He ends up arrested in the town square on Monday, and then of course we move along to Tuesday, and of course they kind of review that Paulina's mom, Olivia, visits, and it's finally revealed that Paulina is Lonnie's mother, and like I said, Abe is not her dad. Will Abe end up her stepdad? That is what a lot of people might be thinking. Gabby confronts Ava with a necklace she found outside of Rafe's house and asks Ava, is it hers? And of course it's not Ava's. So the next thing that Gabby jumps to is maybe it belongs to Nicole, and she kind of fans the fire there, fans the flames, because Ava has been seeing that Rafe and Nicole are a little bit closer than Ava is comfortable with, especially now that Nicole is no longer with Eric. The necklace, of course, actually belongs to Sammi, who was on her way to speak to Gabby at that house about whether or not she could continue to stay at the Demira mansion, and that was when she was, of course, kidnapped last week and has not been seen since. And of course there's a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on there. Allie visits EJ and kind of appeals to him about Sammi, and part of that is Allie is actually very surprised that Sammi isn't there, or at least that EJ hasn't heard from her, as nobody seems to have heard from Sammi, and we all know that's because she has been kidnapped. Who kidnapped her? Well, we can speculate. I'm not sure if I was going to leave that for later, but I'll just put it in here right now, as I mentioned in the last episode anyhow, that I believe Kristen and EJ have worked together to take Sammi away to an island in typical Demira fashion, and on that island with Sammi may or may not be Sarah Horton, but they're probably on an island in maybe some kind of Maison Blanche-esque kind of situation, and they may be held there as prisoners until Kristen and EJ decide what to ultimately do with them. Or maybe they will just keep them alive and torture them, and they will just have to live day to day knowing that they will never see their loved ones in Salem ever again. I don't know what's going on there. We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. But it might not be too soon, because those actresses are no longer on the show for now. So the one I mentioned playing Sarah Horton and Allie Sweeney, who plays Sammi Brady, will not be around for a while, but at some point they'll be back, and we'll find out where they have gone to. And what else do we have to finish up Tuesday? We have Rafe consoling Nicole about Eric, and there you go, they become a little bit closer, and of course everybody's kind of starting to wonder where Sammi might be in actuality. Where's Sammi? Especially Allie. And I believe, well, we'll get into Wednesday now, because I was about to say I believe on Wednesday Allie tells John and Marlena that Sammi seems to be missing, and now I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Wednesday, I think, starts off with Johnny arriving, and the first thing he does is hit on Chanel. So now we've got two twins, kind of somewhat involved with Chanel. So the love triangle may become a love square involving two twins. If that's not messy, I don't know what is, but we'll see how that all develops. So that was the beginning of Wednesday, with Johnny arriving and running into Chanel there. And once again, Allie telling Johnny and Marlena that she thinks her mother Sammi is missing, and it seems strange. Olivia, of course, Paulina's mother, tries to ensure that Paulina will not spill the beans to anyone else about the fact that Paulina is in fact Lonnie's real mother. Of course, Lonnie thinks her parents are Paulina's sister and Abe, so we'll see how that all comes out. On Thursday, we may have had the first sexting on Days of Our Lives that I have ever seen. Johnny sends some interesting pictures to Chanel. I don't think I've ever seen sexting on Days of Our Lives before. That may have been the very first time. Claire gets an offer to go and work with Theo, or she kind of suggests herself to go and work with Theo in the capacity of a social media person for the company, as the one that they had has apparently stepped out of the position, and Theo is scrambling to find a new person to be the social media person, as he has to go back to Africa. And it's, of course, this last minute thing, and Claire's got to decide if she wants to jump on a plane and take this position or not. And of course, that is their way of writing out Isabelle Durant, who did a fantastic job of playing Claire Brady and was just getting started, I believe. And there was all this stuff, they even had it in the script itself, where she was developing a relationship with Allie, and she was developing a relationship with Ciara now that Ciara had her memory back, and there was a lot of ways for her to go. She had a unique friendship with Ben, and they really had just started reigniting that character, and I think if Isabelle Durant was given more material, that character has a lot of roots in Salem. Her parents were finally back in Salem, and now she's going to be gone from Salem, so there's a lot there that's a bit of a head scratcher, other than, sometimes with the budget they decide to get rid of some people so that they can bring certain people back in. And of course, I believe that was kind of a cutting point. I think sometime in I almost said Sierra, but I meant to say sometime in September, I think Days of Our Lives is resuming some more filming. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but long story short, before we get too long-winded, Thursday and or Friday, well, Friday actually was Isabelle Durant's final day playing Claire. There is a petition that I mentioned in the last episode, and I'll try to post the link again if you want to sign the petition to get her back to Days of Our Lives. I much preferred, personally, this Claire. I know a lot of people out there do. So I'm hoping to see Claire return to Salem sooner than later, and I really especially hope that it's Isabelle Durant who will be playing Claire when Claire does in fact hopefully return to Salem. So we were about to wrap up our discussion of Wednesday when I got kind of into a long-winded discussion, or we were actually on Thursday, my apologies. We were about to wrap up Thursday, so there is some more stuff there on Thursday. They do have Claire literally say on the show, in character, that there's nothing that's really keeping me here in Salem, is what she says, but as I just discussed, I completely do not agree with that, but that's how they have chosen to write out Claire for now. I would have liked to have seen more stuff between Claire and John, because they had a relationship in the past that was quite unique, just as I am going to be interested in when Johnny Demira first sees Rafe as an adult, because of course they had an interesting dynamic when Johnny was a child as well, and we've seen Rafe with Allie. We've seen how Rafe interacts with Allie, but we haven't seen how Rafe will interact with Johnny yet, and that will be interesting. But now I have gone a little bit off the rails, but we were speaking of Johnny, so we do get some stuff between Allie, Chanel, and Johnny on Thursday. Just that, Johnny has obviously met Chanel, and Allie and Chanel have a history, and Johnny and Allie, of course, are twins. So there is a whole lot to unpack there that will probably be unpacked in the next few weeks on the show. And of course there's stuff with EJ and Johnny and Chad, where EJ had asked Chad to help him kind of get Johnny off this idea that he wants to make movies and bring him into the company, get him into wanting to continue the Demira legacy and work for Demira. Johnny, unsurprisingly to me, does not want to work for the company. But it's going to be interesting because I think Johnny is going to have a side of him that is very Demira-like, and EJ is kind of going to want to pull that out of him. And Sammi is not going to be around to talk to Johnny because she's been kidnapped. But I am really interested to see if there's going to be an interaction between Johnny and Rafe. Rafe might be the side that appeals to the good side of Johnny, who, if you remember when Johnny was young, he wanted to be a police officer, an FBI agent, just like Rafe. So we'll see if Rafe continues to be somebody that Johnny goes to for any type of support. Now, especially that his mother is missing, we'll have to see if he interacts at all with Rafe, because that's something that I kind of anticipate. And of course, Ben and Ciara are still doing their thing. They're basically honeymooning in the cabin of horrors. Like, I was wondering on Thursday, when are you going to get out of there? Isn't it time to kind of get yourselves out of the cabin of horrors, where there's obviously it helped Ciara get her memory back, but a lot of those memories were bad memories. Getting in a motorcycle accident and getting kind of bashed up in a motorcycle accident and getting burned by Ciara in the cabin, or sorry, by Claire, when Claire was played by a different actress and the character was a little bit crazy at the time. So there they are lying in that bed, where I just think that Ciara would be having like nightmares of being burned alive, especially with her memories just coming back. So you'd think they'd want to get out of there, and by Friday they do get out of there and they go and see, I believe, I don't know where they stopped by after talking to Theo, but they do end up at John and Marlena's, and they go and talk to... Actually, Ben goes back to his place, but long story short, by the end of Friday, they are getting married in the living room of John and Marlena's place. Marlena, of course, is very adapted to doing impromptu weddings. I'm not sure if they needed a marriage license, because technically I think they could have just got their annulment annulled, and they could have just been married, and they could have probably said, here, my ex-wife here just got all her memories back and now remembers being married to me, so could we not just annul the annulment? But instead, they decided to get remarried in the living room very quickly. And of course, Claire, who was on her way to parts unknown with Theo, I think, is there at the wedding, and Sean and Belle are at the wedding. John and Marlena are at the wedding. Claire is at the wedding. And that's about it. Just Ben and Ciara tying the knot again for all the days of their lives. We get a little bit of... so that's the end. Claire's leaving. We get a little bit of Allie and Johnny interaction. EJ and Nicole have a little bit of a chat, and things will develop there as well. But... I think one of the big things coming out of this week and going into next week will be the fact that Paulina is Lonnie's mother is going to be a very big thing to watch, and a new character, Johnny, this week was introduced, so we'll have to wait for more on what goes on with Johnny. We didn't get a lot of Jack and Xander and all of that this week, but that will probably continue next week. Don't forget that Beyond Salem is only weeks away, and that's going to be happening on NBC Peacock, but you're also going to be able to watch it after all on the Global app if you're here in Canada. If you're somewhere in the rest of the world, shout outs to you, but I'm not sure if you can watch it or not in your part of the world. It is available in the United States on NBC Peacock, and it is available in Canada on the Global app, and I think there's another way to watch it here in Canada, but you can look into that. And I'm going to wrap things up here. Once again, thank you for chatting chowder with me, and that's what's going on on Days of Our Lives. Looking forward to next week when we'll probably get more Ben and Ciara and more on all the stories developing. But yes, one of the big ones is Paulina being the mother of Lonnie, and of course, where is Sammi? She's been kidnapped, so that's going to be a major story. And will they ever start looking for Sarah as well? I don't know, but like I said, I think that's all going to be tied together in the future, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next time. And don't forget to tune in to Days of Our Lives and Beyond Salem as well, and like, share, and subscribe this video. See